5 BAFTAs, 2 Emmys, a Grammy and an Oscar. Our next guest really does put the win into Winslet. She's making her directorial debut with Goodbye June, which is out in cinemas next Friday. So let's say hello to the oh-so-great Kate Winslet!
Oh my gosh! It's only Kate Winslet. Oh my gosh! How are you?
It's very strange, the sort of reading out the awards part, isn't it? That's quite odd. And a bit uncomfortable,
Well, that's why
actually.
she sang it.
That was very nice.
In the
Very
end.
well done. Very, very well done indeed.
How are you?
I'm really well, Chris. How are you?
Very well. I was a sopping mess yesterday morning at 10:30 in a preview cinema in Soho. Monday morning, I had no idea what the film was about. I never find out what films are about until I go and see them, and I just let them, I just dive in. And I didn't know it was about an older lady, a brilliant mum and grandma, losing her life to cancer, and that end of life journey that I've experienced firsthand, and I know that your family has as well. And it's like, I had no idea. It's all I'm going to say. Well, I have loads of questions for you, right?
Good,
but I
good.
just want to start off with this. I'm just going to put this marker down,
Okay.
right? If Helen Mirren doesn't win Best Actor Oscar for this, then the Academy has to just pack up and go home. Because what she does in this film,
I know, she's amazing.
it's beyond acting.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've won Oscars. You know this, right? You know what it's like to do what she does. You're in this film. You're brilliant too. Everybody's brilliant. Then there's Helen Mirren.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I mean, she's such an extraordinary leader. You know, she's a very formidable, frank, wonderful person who's incredibly, incredibly warm and just remarkable.
You
at what she
directed Helen
does.
Mirren.
I directed Helen Mirren. It's ridiculous.
What, love?
I directed Full Stop, Chris.
I know.
I did it.
It was your first ever movie directing.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
you can do this stuff. I want to say a different word there, but you can really do this. All right, so Goodbye to June. What's it about?
Okay, so Goodbye June is a story, it's a contemporary story, and it is ultimately about how a messy, chaotic family of grown-up siblings all have to come together and make it okay to give their mother a good goodbye. So it's really a story of how people can grow closer through loss, and it is very funny. So I think it's important to say that, and it's really touching, and I think somehow it's incredibly uplifting too, because it does open up that conversation around loss. And I think those things in this country, certainly, I think we're really kind of not very good at talking about. And it has this extraordinary cast, you know, Helen Mirren, as you said, Tim Spall, who's one of my personal faves. I've kind of grown up with him in many ways. Toni Collette, Andrea Riseborough, Johnny Flynn, and myself, because I clearly needed to do 3 jobs and not just one, because I produced the film as well as directed it. And brilliant British actor called Faiza Akiyade playing Nurse Angel.
It is an amazing film, and it's not a heavy watch. It's a heavy subject, but it's not a heavy watch, and it takes its time, and it goes to so many places. How long is this film?
The film itself, and I know because I was literally timing every edit, it's an hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah, and but you seem like you're there for the whole time, all the days. There's this lovely mechanic with the calendar ticking down towards Christmas Day. Will she make it? Won't she make it? In the beginning, is she going to die? Do all the kids know? Should some people be told when maybe they're too fragile? Who are the 4 siblings? Let's talk about those guys.
So the 4 siblings are Connor, Molly, Helen and Julia.
How old are they-ish, and what are they like-ish?
They're in their 40s. They're all in their 40s. They're grown siblings. Connor, played by Johnny Flynn, the brilliant Johnny Flynn, one of the most gorgeous human beings in the world. Connor is still living at home. So he's one of those people who's never really found his calling in life. And he's a
40-year-old teenager.
He's a 40-year-old teenager. You know, he's very, very close to his mum. And actually, he's probably become her carer, because it's a type of a cancer that she's probably lived with and they've lived with as a family for several years. And Tim Spall plays the father. So the father-son relationship is actually really interesting, because these are 2 men who've stopped communicating properly, even though they live in the same house, and they're sort of emotionally kind of flatlining as well. The other siblings are Helen, played by Toni Collette, Andrea Riseborough, Molly played by Andrea Riseborough, and Julia, played by myself. And Molly and Julia as siblings haven't actually spoken for several years.
The visceral dislike of each other is unbelievable. It jumps out of the screen. You think, oh gosh, we've all experienced this kind of thing.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? I think when, as you grow up as siblings, lives kind of spread off in different directions. And actually, apart from kind of Christmases, funerals and weddings, sometimes you don't have a huge amount of reason, unless you really make the effort, to all come together and be together. So the sort of the odd nature of this situation, where they didn't think it was coming and they are all thrown into this space and they just have to figure their stuff out and somehow make it okay. And it's one of those interesting sibling relationships with Molly and Julia, whereby so much has gone under the bridge and so much time has passed since they actually spoke that they've kind of forgotten what they fell out about in the first place. Which I love.
Yeah. And they're so embarrassed about that. But Molly's got a major beef, though, hasn't she, with Julia's life in general. So she's now she's forgotten what they fell out about. She's having to sort of continue this story about how unfair it all is, especially where Julia's concerned. However, she does sort of get on with her other sister.
Yeah, she does. She gets on with the other sister. She gets on with Connor. She's kind of positioned herself, Molly, as the sibling who's sort of running the show.
Yeah.
Because I think that's all she feels that she can do in order to kind of control and also offer up something that is meaningful within a family dynamic. Whereas Julia is the successful one, the wealthy one, who appears to have this perfect life. Yeah. And actually underneath it all, she's really struggling too. She's just got very, very good at hiding it.
Yeah, so, I mean, what's interesting for me is everything. And more as I watch more and more films, and I've seen thousands, obviously, because I'm nearly 60 years old, is just the level of detail in which to underline via which to underline the characters, like their cars.
Yeah.
It's so, the fact that
I'm so glad you noticed
the fact that
cars.
Connor's got a beaten up Saab, which was his dream car, but it's now beaten up and barely makes it to the hospital.
Well, that's right, and that it's so cold inside. Do you remember those second-hand cars that are so freezing that even when it's winter and you're inside the car, you've got
it's
the
colder
breath
outside than inside.
Correct.
They're fridges.
Yeah. So all of that stuff.
Julia's car is like a posh 4x4.
Yeah.
She's got all the baby seats going on.
Yeah.
And Molly's car is, of course,
like a bomb's gone off.
It's a bus. It's a bomb's gone off. It's supposed to be wacky, but it's just massively
But
disorganised.
all of that description, I do have to say that all of that description of the cars and the kind of life that they inhabit within those cars, that was all written in the script on the scripted page. The writer is my son, and his descriptive writing is extraordinary and always has been, even since he was a child. So my son wrote this script.
I know. Well, it's unbelievable. How old is he? 21?
He's 21. He's actually about to turn 22.
I don't know how he's done it.
Well, he started writing it when he was 19.
That's all fine, right? But as I say, I'm 60 next year, and my mum died of this thing, and I could probably give you a diary of how it happened. But he's nailed it. He's nailed it. You've nailed it from a directorial and from a production point of view. The actors have nailed it. I've met all those people. It's unbelievable. I was gobsmacked in the film. I was going, how have they done this? Well, if you'd have made a documentary of somebody in that similar situation, it couldn't have been any more accurate than yours is.
Thank you. I mean, that means so much, because that's what I tried to do. Because I do think that more and more now, when we go to the cinema, because it's expensive for so many people, I think it's right that we should be able to see versions of ourselves in the characters that are playing out in the stories that we're watching. And I do think that people are searching for stories they can connect with, that make them feel heard, make them feel seen. And I care very much about representation. I care about inclusivity and diversity just as a person. And the fact that we have all of that very much as a part of the heartbeat of our story mattered a lot. I think the work that Faizaia Akiyade, who plays Nurse Angel, who's essentially a nurse but a palliative care nurse working on an end-of-life ward, what he does is so beautiful and so subtle, and it meant a lot to us to really honour that space on screen for palliative care workers, because their work is just so, it's not misunderstood necessarily, but they go under the radar. These people, they will sit there, as you've gone through it, they will sit there and hold the hand of the patient or the patient's family for as long as they need to. And they do it by choice. And that's the thing that's
I don't think they do have a choice, because you wouldn't do it by choice. It's a vocation, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's vocational. Yeah. And they are peacemakers. They are lifesavers. They are therapists.
Yeah,
they are
really
gatekeepers.
Yeah.
They've got all this stuff going on, and these people do it. They're doing it now.
Yes, they are.
And we witness it, don't we? We go to see people who aren't very well in hospital. And, we have got to get ourselves up for the visit.
Yeah.
And the first one's easier than the 7th one, and the 7th easier than the 20th one.
That's it.
And then you're waiting for the inevitable to happen. You go, we're just waiting for someone to die now.
Yes, that's right.
And
The sense of monotony, that was something else that mattered to me a lot as well, is that, the monotony with which this family are living and dealing with the matriarch suffering and going through various different rounds of probably chemo and go in and out of those machines and the beeping on the hospital. They know those waiting room spaces. They know what those corridors smell like, feel like. They know that it's C17 for the Snickers on the vending machine. They know in the same way that we all do. I mean, I still remember, the button for the quavers on the vending machine when my mum was unwell. But this story, so my son got a place in screenwriting school at the National Film and Television School when he was 19, and he really didn't expect to get a place. He had always written. Our whole life, he's been a very clever writer. There's poetry from when he was 8 that's still on the side of the fridge, And so when he said that he wanted to learn how to be a screenwriter, I actually wasn't particularly surprised. But, that doesn't necessarily mean he was going to be able to do it. But he went to screenwriting school and he was encouraged by a wonderful tutor, just write what you know. And aside from COVID, he was that generation who didn't do GCSEs. Aside from COVID, the most significant thing that had happened was the loss of his grandmother when he was a teenager, my mum. And he saw how we all came together with so much love and made it great for her. So it struck him that we were all there because we all came from this one woman. And he took that as an emotional backdrop and created a fictional story with a fictional family, set it in Cheltenham at Christmas time. And actually the Christmas time concept, it wasn't originally set at Christmas time. And when he came up with that idea, I thought, my God, that's just so brilliant, because that sense of the kind of advent calendar doors being opened and the clock ticking as you all ramp towards this massive event in the year, it worked in tandem with this family watching the clock tick and go by. When's it going to happen? When's it coming? And at the same time, it gave us, as the people putting the story together, this incredible opportunity to make it feel really warm. Because hospital spaces, as you know, and as so many people who are listening will know, they are stark, they are strange, they feel cold, they can feel horribly lonely and really frightening. And I didn't want that. And that was part of the reason why I'm so happy it wasn't set in London, because you don't get the kind of frenetic chaos that you often feel in those spaces. And they're very, very clinical. And somehow outside of London, I know that those spaces they just have lower ceilings, actually. Yeah. Lower ceilings, they all feel a bit smaller.
It's more space outside the building.
There's more space, there's more time to talk to people. And so, we worked really hard on making sure that the warm, twinkly side of the story was ever present, because that mattered enormously as well.
Yeah. So good, so good. The countdown.
I know.
Will she make Christmas? Again, people who have end-of-life diagnosis. And if you're going through this now, I apologise for talking about it, but it is the subject of the film, and it's only better for talking about in the end.
Yes.
One of the things people question or wonder about when they're given an end-of-life diagnosis or somebody close to them one of the questions is, will they make Christmas? Mm-hmm. Another question is, Tash, my wife, fell pregnant while my mum was in an end-of-life situation, and we didn't know whether to tell her.
Oh, yeah.
Because she knew she was going to die, because mum was a nurse and she asked to be told. And so she knew where she was from 18 months up until her death. And then we didn't know whether to tell her that Tash was pregnant, because we didn't know whether she'd be really pleased or she'd be so upset that she wouldn't see the birth of her twin grandchildren, which she didn't. And you have that as well in this story.
I mean, it's the great evolution of life, isn't it?
Yeah. Will they make this particular... Will they make summer? Will they make the birth of a new child?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the thing is, these are very, very difficult things to confront in life, and they're very difficult conversations to have. And I think being the person who ended up directing the film, because I wasn't originally going to at all, but being the person who ended up directing the film, there were so many moments that would really catch me out emotionally, because of course what I felt I was sometimes seeing play out in front of my eyes were conversations that I would never have been a party to when my own mother was dying. Conversations between Helen Mirren and Tim Spall playing the mother and the father of this family. They're just so beautiful.
Yeah, and they have their own relationship going on, which the kids have never known about and will never know about.
No, and will never know about, and is deeply complicated and layered and long. They've been married for probably 50 years. But, I really wasn't going to direct this film originally. And Joe had written it. And he turned to me at the end of his course and he said, I've written this thing. And, it's probably not very good. But,
it's like the best thing
he was like, can you just read it and just lie if you think it's rubbish? Because it's just an experiment. And I read it and I was like, okay, not rubbish. In fact, the opposite.
Yeah.
I said, I think this is a film. And he was like, what? No, Mum, don't do that. Don't do that thing. Don't do the mum thing where you just have to don't just big me up about this thing. It's not like a piece of homework. And I said, no, just finish it. He had about 20 more pages to go. I said, and then we'll have a proper conversation. So we then had the proper conversation. He added that whole end section, which we won't reveal now. And that just blew me away. And I said, right, we're going to make this as a film. Okay, so come on, I'll produce it. I'll play one of the sisters. Let's sit down and write our wish list of actors. He's like, what are you talking about? Tim Spall and Helen Mirren, they're never going to do it. What are you on about? I said, no, come on. Okay, who's next on the list? And literally every single actor we wrote on our wish list said yes. Wow. So at the point that it was ready to be sent out to directors and Netflix at that stage had shown some interest in it, I suddenly realised I couldn't let it go. And I said, I think I could direct this, Joe. And actually, Chris, if I never get to do it again in my lifetime for whatever reason, this was such a special experience. We did the whole thing with joy and kindness. We had 7 kids in this, 7 children, which actually was 8 because the baby is identical twin girls, beautiful little girls. And I had 35 days in which to shoot it. I had Helen Mirren playing the title role for only 16 days because she had a job before and a job immediately after. Because she's Helen Mirren and she's flipping brilliant and she never stops working and she's amazing.
She knows how to show Harrison Ford.
Just amazing. But, I just sort of ran at it. And I had a lot of first-time heads of department as well because it mattered to me enormously that the working environment was really built up on people supporting each other because it changes the fabric of your everyday. So with Joe, a first-time writer, me, a first-time director, I thought, well, we've got to pay that forward. So we have a first-time production designer, a brilliant woman named Alison Harvey, who'd been on-set props for years. And I thought, why isn't she designing? And I keep hearing this woman's name. She must be amazing. I thought, I bet she had a family and she just got stuck in needing to find work. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. I said, okay, come on, girl, it's your turn now. And our composer, first-time composer, brilliant musician named Ben Harlan, who was my kid's music teacher.
No way.
Yes, and he finished being a teacher, took himself to school for composition. He went to Trinity for composition. And after the second year, I said to him, Joe and I really think that you should come and do this film with us. And he was like, what are you on about? Wow. And he did it. And first-time costume designer as well. And so that thing where you just all hold hands and kind of panic together.
Yeah. Hold hands and come by our
well,
and go for it.
You really do. You just sort of white-knuckle it. And if you make it a great ride, if you choose to make it fantastic, then it really can be.
All right, a couple of questions about the film. So, I was fine. Because I knew once the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh gosh, all right, here we go. There's me and another bloke in the preview theatre. Yeah. By the end of it, we were both a mess. He could hear me sobbing, I could hear him sobbing. He sobbed at some stuff I didn't. I sobbed at some stuff he didn't, and sometimes we both sobbed at the same time. We were fine. Both of us were fine. We were fine, Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Until Connor reads the
poem. I knew you were going to say that. I'm sorry.
I knew you knew what you were doing.
I'm sorry.
You just turned the tide.
But you know why?
You seduced us in. You lulled us into a false sense of security that we were in control of our emotions. You get the moment where the kid takes the place of the parent takes the place of the kid. It's the old reverse, the switcheroo, the reverse ferret. Yeah. Look how this has changed. Yeah. The cared for now becomes the carer, and it's the poem, the words of the poem. And I went and I thought, oh.
Well, that poem it's extremely beautiful, and actually I can tell you that is one thing that Joe did take from life, because several years ago it's his favourite poem, and he actually gave that to me in a frame for Mother's Day. And so when he put the poem in, the two of us were like, where's the poem? Oh my God, Mum, where's the framed poem? I can't find the thing. And I've gone into the book, but of course I tore the page out, so I can't find the... So that was a very funny moment between the two of us running around the house trying to find this poem. But you know what I think is that I love the fact that that's the first moment that got you as a man. I think it's those performances with Johnny and Helen that are so beautiful, but also the music of that sequence. But in addition,
and the lighting,
it's the
and
first
the
moment
intimacy.
that you see her face really closely.
Yeah.
So I deliberately stay back with the cameras. And actually there was quite a bit of holding my nerve that had to go on as a first-time director. I had to be really unafraid to let us feel this family chaos from a distance.
Yeah.
And sometimes in order to really establish the spaces between family emotionally and where they're choosing to sit, 3 meters from the other one, in order to do that, you actually have to see it. You have to see that space
Like
and
you
that
would.
distance, like you would. And so it mattered to me a great deal to really stay back and absorb this wild overlapping chaos until the moment that everyone's left the room and there's June
Oh my gosh.
with her son, probably her favourite child.
Yeah.
Alone in that calm space, and bang, we go right into a close-up on Helen, and you see for the first time what she too realises she's leaving behind.
I knew
and
you.
It
I
is
knew
very,
you
very
knew what
moving.
you were doing. I knew it. I just thought, oh,
Well, I've been on
gosh.
a lot of film
I
sets.
know you've done.
It would have been
It's
pretty
not your
shoddy
first
if I'd-
radio. I know. I get it.
No, but I could have got it wrong.
You
I
did.
I could
Well,
have done.
well, the point is you haven't got it wrong. You got it very right. And then after
Okay,
that, okay,
good.
got another one for you.
Go
Right.
on.
Similar situation, and I know you've done this on purpose. I know you've done it all on purpose, but I know that specifically these are points. There is a point where Helen Mirren's character, June, is on her own. It's the middle of the night. She turns her head to. She actually doesn't turn her head to the side because she can't. Her head is already at the side, and she sheds a tear. Where does that tear come from? What is that tear? She's on her own. She allows herself a tear, not in front of her family, because she's brave. And is that for us to project onto that situation, whatever we want to?
For the purposes of the audience listening, Chris Evans is actually crying. I love the fact that you picked up on that, Chris, because that was very hard. That moment was very hard for Helen Mirren to find. And there were lots of things about playing this character that she really felt very uncomfortable with because it took her to such vulnerable, broken places. Helen is an extremely robust woman, emotionally, physically, all the rest of it. So to be so fragile and broken down was something she found really very challenging. That moment is designed exactly as it is and placed exactly as it is because we need for the audience to fully understand that June has complete agency in her own passing. She knows what's happening to her. The children think she's in denial. She's not in denial at all. She's just protecting them because she thinks that they are in denial. So it's all that unspoken stuff that goes on, the elephant in the room, the big scary elephant in the room that nobody wants to address and talk about. And as that ultimate matriarch, there she is, lying there alone with her thoughts and her own sadness, which she doesn't let show to her children because she's still trying to be brave. It's heartbreaking.
What a moment.
Yeah.
Like one of the greatest moments on film, a robust lady, a proud lady, shedding a tear, allowing a tear, presumably now that you've told me that, for herself. She's sad. Is she sad at what she hasn't done? Because she talks about that. She didn't have enough sex. She wasn't, she wasn't outrageous enough. I should have been more of a slut.
Should have been more of a slut. Let me cheat.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
It is funny. There are lots of very,
really funny.
Editing the film was such a joy. I mean, I can't tell you because, of course, I had so many beautiful options from these incredible actors, but also I had those children. And I did something different with the sound design on this film to any way I've myself experienced it as an actor before. So we didn't have any overhead boom microphones. And actually that's quite challenging for a sound department. But Denise Yard, our wonderful sound designer, she worked with me very closely to find ways of hiding microphones absolutely everywhere.
Where would you hide them then?
Well, you hide them under pillows and, on window ledges and in the cracks of sofas. And everyone was, of course, radio mic. That's always standard. Typically, you don't tend to radio mic children and you just make sure that the boom operator is right there when they're they're supposed to say their line. But we didn't want the children to be learning scripted lines.
Yeah.
So I would always say to them, you better not have learnt any lines today, and please make sure you make lots of nice juicy mistakes for me, because that's when we get to have the most fun. Giving them permission to play and establishing an environment that they could just react to. They never knew when the cameras were rolling. So when I've got 2 little boys hiding in the hospital bed of their grandmother, looking for the thing I've told them that I've hidden, when of course I hadn't hidden anything at all. So they're playing hide and seek in the bed, and actually around them is a group of adults performing a scene that's really quite hard and challenging, where they're all trying to leave their mother in hospital at the end of a very difficult day. And there's the kids playing hide and seek, because that's what children do. Children bring the joy, and they just get on with it.
I love your film.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm so thrilled.
I love it.
Chris loves my
It's
film,
so good.
everybody.
It's so good. I just want everyone to go and see it. I want everyone to go and see it. And it's the most beautiful watch. It's
uplifting, isn't it? It's not a sort of it isn't a, I will say this, it's not a downer of a film at all.
I've been to films and had to call my wife because I'm in bits. And I was in bits, but I didn't have to call my wife.
Yeah, good.
That's the difference, you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's all okay. It's all okay. It's more than okay. And it's so Christmassy. And there's 2 things that happen at the end. We won't mention either of them. And they're both, there's a scene in the pub, which is phenomenal.
Oh, isn't it amazing?
And then there's what happens at the end. Anyway,
incredible.
Great, well done,
and
Kate
it's very
Winslet.
British, don't you think? It feels very British, and I'm proud of that.
But it's not kitchen sinky, because I don't like kitchen sinky. It's too bleak.
No,
it's not bleak.
It's not
bleak. There
is
a sink in it, quite a troublesome sink. Actually,
there is a troublesome sink at one point, but no, it doesn't have that kind of kitchen sinky feel. It's got a lot of life, a lot of heart and soul. But the Britishness, things like Christmassy tins of Cadbury's roses on the nurse's station.
Yeah, and also warm tins of lager.
Yeah, warm tins of lager and pork scratchings.
Yeah, and if you won the Euromoney, what would you do? I'd buy a fridge for my mum's room that she's dying in, so my beer would be cold.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Val says, I am curtsying as we speak to the goddess that is HRH Kate Winslet. Oh. Too many hearts to fit in on one on WhatsApp. She's simply inspirational and wonderful. What a role model she is. Paul and Finn, Kate Winslet is a national treasure. Simple as that. Sarah in sunny Devon. How sunny's the day generally? I'm so lucky enough to work for a wonderful charity supporting children and young families, people and their families with the grief journey after being bereaved, a topic that is so taboo, no one wants to talk about it. Well, this will get everybody talking about it. Sophia says, long list of whys, but now I'm referring to her giving opportunities to left and right and send it to all the new talent. Massive respect, you wonderful human being, Kate Winslet. Jules says, I love how she supports everyone around her. Can I be her best friend? No, you've got to join the queue. Till's first, aren't you? Till's in the queue. Jane's second.
Come on, Jules, there's room for more. There's
Rachel
always
from
room for more.
Enville, thank you. I work in palliative care, and you have captured this perfectly. Palliative care is a privilege. Rachel, I can't wait for you to see the film. I cannot wait for you to see
We did work very closely with some palliative care experts, both inside London and out of London as well, because the rhythms felt different to us in the different spaces.
This film is all about the rhythm.
Yeah.
It's all about the rhythm.
But the people who supported us and the medical experts who were around to make sure we were getting everything right, because it mattered so much. We didn't want to do the film version of this. Sometimes that happens. And we'd say to our medical experts, do you watch Casualty? And sort of roll your eyes. Not necessarily Casualty, but, they watch those medical shows. And they're like,
drama.
It's not like that. It doesn't happen like that. That's not, that's the film version.
But that was my point. I mean, I was blown away by the fact that that's exactly what I experienced. Emma says, I haven't seen the film yet. I haven't even seen the film yet, and I'm already crying just listening to Kate talk about it. All right, Kate, can you do us a favour? Can you hang around? We want to pilot something, and we want you to help us pilot it, will you?
Yes, darling.
Are you sure?
Of course.
Okay, I knew you would. I knew you'd say yes to that. This film, you can definitely leave. You can run for the hills. It's fine.
I'm not leaving. It's nice in here.
All right. Goodbye, June, out in cinemas Friday, 12th of December, and out Wednesday, 24th of December on Netflix. It's got an amazing cast. It's brilliantly produced. It's brilliantly written by Kate's son, and it's amazingly directed. First time out for you. Gosh. You're allowed to get a few things wrong, but you don't get anything wrong.
I did it, and I'm 50. You can do things for the first time in life at the age of 50, girls.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Including buying your vegan sibling a Snickers from the vending machine, and her absolutely, when she bit into that, I thought, I bet that tastes like champagne. It's a great moment, that, isn't it?
We loved that scene because we ate so many Snickers over and over again. It was fabulous.
I wanted one so badly, and I was so hungry.